Again, I was a transfer student from California. I went to community college for a few years and I transferred as a junior and then got in-state residency as a senior at the University of Oregon. Hey, what is up everybody? So if you're looking to attend the University of Oregon, you might have noticed that there's two different prices when it comes to tuition. They have in-state and out-of-state. And if you're like me, who was coming from California to the University of Oregon, you might want to know how to get in-state tuition as an out-of-state student. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you exactly the steps that you need to do in order to get in-state tuition, and we're starting right now. Hey, what is up everybody? So my name is Alvy Macias, and on this channel, I'm helping you become the first in your family to build sustainable wealth. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, consider hitting that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss an upload from. Okay, so let's get into the very first tip. So tip number one is that you have to live in the state of Oregon for at least 12 months prior to you wanting to get in-state tuition. So an example of this in my own life was I moved to Eugene, Oregon to attend the University of Oregon in August. It's actually August 1st of 2017. And that was 1 year and 1 month before I was eligible to apply for in-state tuition at the University of Oregon. So basically what this means is that you have to live in the state for 1 entire year before you can apply for in-state tuition. So if you're transferring like me as a transfer student from community college, then your junior year, you have to pay out-of-state tuition no matter what. But then your senior year, assuming you move and have lived in the state for 1 year, you can in fact apply for in-state tuition. But again, you have to have lived in the state for 12 months or 365 days. And it's also really important to note that in order for you to prove that you lived in the state for 12 months, you have to have some sort of documentation. And typically what the school is going to ask for is a lease or some form of documentation showing that you lived in the state. So that, again, that's a lease, or if you sign for a rental home, there's usually a contract with that. Just anything on paper that shows that yes, you are living in the state, and it can't be out of your van. You can't be living in a friend's house. You have to physically have some paperwork with your name on it with a Oregon address. Okay, so tip number two is you have to be financially independent or you're dependent of an Oregon taxpayer. So if you are like me and you're a little bit older when you were going to the University of Oregon or a community college transfer student, then your FAFSA will probably indicate the best to you if you are in fact independent or dependent of someone. So let's say, for example, you are moving from California and you want to attend school in the University of Oregon. Then what you would have to do is make sure that you are financially independent, or you cannot use your parents' tax returns for your FAFSA because again, they live in California and you're moving to Oregon. So it would be best for you to begin trying to file taxes as an independent individual, meaning nobody claims you. So that way you can show that you're working in the state of Oregon and not dependent on someone in California. Tip number three, you have to do something outside of school to show you are something other than just a full-time student. Now, this one for me was a little bit confusing when I first heard it, but it totally makes sense. So the reason why the university wants this is because they want to see that you're not just trying to become a student for the purposes of trying to get in-state tuition. Basically, the reason why they do this is because the school wants to see that you're not just going to go to school, get in-state tuition, and then move right back to your home state, California, Texas, wherever you're from in the US or outside of the US. So what they do is make sure that you're doing something other than school. For 99% of you watching this, it's probably going to be your job, if you're a volunteer, anything that proves that you have ties to the state other than just being a student. And again, the most common example for most of us is having at least a part-time, some of us have a full-time job, or part-time volunteer or full-time volunteer. That's the easiest way to prove and check this box. Hey, if you're liking this video and it's bringing you value, do me a favor, just click that like button down at the bottom. It really helps support this channel and it's absolutely free. Okay, so tip number 4, this is a little bit more of an easier one, but still one that's very important to remember, is you have to change your permanent address. So if you were living with your parents or if you had some sort of permanent address in California, you legally have to change it to an Oregon address. And again, this is something that they will check and it's pretty easy to prove, but all you have to do is just go onto USPS.com and fill out the official change of address form. Now, if you want to get gold stars on this, I would recommend you print out this confirmation and just keep it tucked away somewhere nice and safe. And that way you can give this to the residency administrator to just check that off as well. So this one makes a lot of sense because obviously the university wants to make sure that if you did in fact move, you're not just moving again for the purposes of getting your education and then you're planning on moving back to California right away. Tip number 5 is you have to change your voter registration from your home state to the state of Oregon. And again, once you have that confirmation printed up, your voter registration card, make a copy of it and stick it in a folder and just tuck it away for safekeeping until you apply for residence. Tip 6, you have to change your state issued ID or your driver's license to Oregon. So if you're coming from California, go to the DMV, any DMV within the state of Oregon, and get a new driver's license or state issued ID card. Again, make a copy of this, stick it in a folder with all the other forms, and then just keep it away for safekeeping until you hand in your application for residence. Tip number 7, you have to file taxes in the state of Oregon. So again, because you're financially independent, or at least most of you watching this, if you're a transfer student, then you have to do your taxes in the state of Oregon with an Oregon address on the tax forms. This is to prove to the school that you're A, financially independent, and then B, you have some sort of skin in the game, if you will, when it comes to paying taxes to the state. The whole purpose of this is to prove to the university that you're not just going to go to school there and then move back home as soon as you're done with school. It's to sort of show the university you have a lot more ties to the state than just the university. So tip number 8 is again tied to your vehicle. If you have a vehicle registration in California, Texas, Nevada, any of those other states, you have to go to the DMV and change your vehicle registration to a registration with the state of Oregon. And this will be when you get the new plates for your vehicle as opposed to your hometown state. And again, this just further solidifies that you're going to go to Oregon and prove that you're not just going to skip ship as soon as you can when you're done with school. Tip number 9, your finances have to be clear and understandable. So this one is a little bit confusing, but bear with me. Basically, you have to prove to the university that you're not just living off of a savings account or you're not a trust fund baby. The university wants to see if you get a W-2 or if you have perhaps some savings that you've worked on that have been in your bank account for a while. It has to be under your name, and it cannot be someone just, your parents depositing money into a savings account or into a checking account for you. All of your finances have to be very clear and easy to understand. Now, again, for about 99% of you all, this will be in the form of your job, or if you get a W-2 in the state of Oregon, you're going to be covered and this shouldn't be too hard for you. But if you're watching this video and you think, oh, well, my parents just send me money, or I have a huge savings account under my name or under my parents' name, that's not going to work. You have to show that these finances and any money you're receiving are in fact from you, or at least are under your name. Again, no trust fund babies will be able to get residency because it just seems like someone else is supporting you, and that doesn't really bode well for the residency officer. And if you've made it this far, I have a little bit of a bonus tip for you. Tip number 10 is to just make things as easy as possible to understand for the residency officer. So an example from my life with this, when I applied after my 365 days being in the state and having a job, all the other things were checked off. I got a manila folder, and inside that folder, I put all my paperwork in an easy to understand order. So with everything that was inside the folder, it was paper clipped, and then I put a sticky note right on top of the packet if there was multiple forms, and then I just put exactly what was on top. So copy of vehicle registration, copy of state issued ID, copy of W-2 tax return, copy of etc., etc., etc. So when the residency officer opened up my file, he knew exactly what he was looking for. I don't think it's a make or break, meaning that they will approve you if you do those things or disapprove you if you don't. But in my world and sort of the little work I've had with office administration, when someone makes something super easy for me to understand, it just flows so much faster, and I appreciate it when someone does that. So again, I'm not saying you have to do that, but I am saying that it does for a fact make it the residency officer's job a lot easier. So take the 30 seconds to a minute that it'll take you to label things, put them in a really nice folder, and then hand that packet into the residency officer. I think it'll make a world of difference, and at least from my context, it definitely helped me get residency at the University of Oregon. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. And if you enjoyed this content and want to see more of it, please let me know down in the comments section what other topics about the University of Oregon would you like me to cover. Again, I was a transfer student from California. I went to community college for a few years, and I transferred as a junior and then got in-state residency as a senior at the University of Oregon. Please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're interested in videos like this, and if you're interested in learning more about the pros and cons of attending the University of Oregon, check out the playlist I have right here, and you can watch that video up next. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week. Bye.